Hello everybody and welcome back to the best reactions. Today we are going to reflect on the Brazilian Grand Prix, and I'm standing around. I'm moving. I'm grooving. This is a throwback. This really is. But we're
connected right now.
And basically I'm in Denver, so not with my usual setup. Don't have the green screen, so it's going to be a bit more of a fluid best reactions, all right? Less structure, bit more bam, 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 meme, but there, of course, will still be a winner, and there'll be Tommy with controversial opinions. Don't worry, it'll still feel very familiar. So let's get into some memes, reactions, and everything else in between. First up, we have Tim MCDFF588. I didn't say there was only one F. Same energy. We love that. We absolutely love that driver's parade. Wasn't quite on the level of the Lego parade, but it was pretty close. And this is what we need to do. Then they had like kind of monster truck things in Austin as well. So these are the drivers' parades that grab the headlines, all right? We need to be able to see the drivers though. That was the problem because we were in Austin. We saw the monster truck one, but we couldn't actually see the drivers, whereas these kind of tiny, sort of like Brum-like vehicles, if anybody even knows that very niche British reference that is. But hey, I am liking that a lot. At @Cell_Stone, poor Bortoletto, done for the day. Could not have probably, sort of panned out a worse home race weekend for Bortoletto. Of course, his first one being a rookie, and you got a feel for him. But also, very happy for the fact that he was able to walk away from such an intense, heavy impact from that sprint race. And then, the race as well, trying to go past Lance Stroll. Lance kind of veering off a little bit to his left-hand side, but I can't really blame Lance for that. And Gabby just wanted to put on a show for his home fans, and sadly, it didn't go to plan. At Joe Formula 6P, me seeing Red Bull pitting Verstappen. Look, I know that some people disagree. Some people are definitely on myself and Tommy's side about the fact that Max, on that final stint, was slower than Lando. Lando was catching, but it was worth the risk. Surely it was worth the risk. What does a P3, a P4, a P5, even a DNF mean to Max Verstappen and Red Bull at this point in the championship? Not much. I know the fight for P2 in the constructors, woohoo. Does anyone really care about that, or do they all want a little bit more wind tunnel time? Look, that's my argument, is that they should have just risked it for the chocolate biscuit. Whether it would have paid off is up to the gods, up to the F1 gods. We'll never know. An alternate reality had that unfold where Max Verstappen may have won the race. Probably not. But hey, it would have given us a bit more entertainment to see a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action between Verstappen and Norris. At Sportsmaniac, Tommy finally getting a taste of Matt-level heartbreak. Tommy realising the championship might actually be over for Max first time. Yeah, look, Tommy genuinely had the audacity to complain on the watch-along that Max went from the pit lane to third, and he was disappointed. Of course, it's the hope that kills you. He thought maybe, just maybe, the fight for the win could have been on. Meanwhile, my driver, Charles Leclerc, started from P3, so where Max finished, and ended in the pit lane. So we're not the same, Tommy. We are not the same. Our struggles are not the same, and you really don't know how much worse it could get. At Talis_12, Verstappen with a new setup. Look, Red Bull, why did you not figure this out sooner? That's what Tommy will be saying when he goes to bed tonight. That's what a lot of Max Verstappen fans will be saying is, wow, they turned that car around massively. Could have won the race. Easily could have won the race. If Max had even started in the top 5, with the pace he showed today, P1 was possible. Lando said it after in the post-race conference as well, that he didn't have an answer for Max Verstappen if he had started higher. So bit of a sort of slip up from Red Bull and kind of Max, but I guess, just trying to get that car set up working before we came to the full qualifying. At I am Lord Vile, that safety car restart. Yeah, didn't go well, did it? Did not go well for Charles Leclerc, didn't go well for Ferrari. Thank you for each and every one of you for tuning in, as always, in the watch-alongs when Charles Leclerc has a problem or an issue or is out of the race. Really appreciated. It's just a disaster. I mean, are there any other fan bases that can just almost be used to having both drivers in your team not finish the race, or both drivers get disqualified? There's no one even close to a Ferrari fan when it comes to mental breakdowns. So look, another one. How Charles has been the one, by the way, to come out of that the worst, when he is absolutely nowhere near, initially, the Piastri dive bomb on Kimi Antonelli. But of course, Kimi Antonelli bounces off of Oscar Piastri, then bounces into Charles Leclerc. Tough times. Since Shumi, FIA checking to see if Hamilton is alive so they can give him a 5-second penalty. It did feel that way, didn't it? Where Hamilton was just tooling around at the back, car was in pieces, the floor was damaged, and then the FIA just came and flew him with a little 5-second penalty. Good job for Lewis, he did retire sooner. Otherwise, he would have carried another grid penalty into the next race, which is what happened in Zandvoort, if you remember, into Monza. At Tuxness, only reason Red Bull isn't retiring the second car at this point. What's my purpose? Slow down Lando when he laps you. Oh, Yuki. I do feel sorry for Yuki because, of course, he started the race as normal, qualified, at the back, and you've got to wonder why Red Bull didn't also overhaul his car, why he was sort of destined to this terrible setup, to at least what he should have been given some kind of chance. Do you not think that maybe just start from the pit lane as well for Yuki, give him the same setup as what Max's car has been turned upside down for overnight? But clearly not. They decided not to do that, and Yuki finished last. At Elite Merchant, how the tables have turned. It's a good meme. I don't enjoy it, but it's a good meme. Quali day, I was happy. And then, of course, I'm sad on race day. When am I not sad? Usually watching Formula One and Charles Leclerc in this season in particular. Having a sad Tommy, though, that is very unheard of. You don't see that all too often. And it didn't last because his guy literally went from the pit lane to the podium. One of the best drives we've ever seen. At Delboy JH, generational drive from Max, pit lane to podium. Everyone's appreciating it. If you can't appreciate that, you've got hate in your heart and you need to really reevaluate your life at this point, because Max Verstappen put down a phenomenal drive in a car that is not dominating the season. Yes, he's been quick occasionally, but he's not had the advantage that he had last year when he went from 17th to 1st. And look, Max just doing Max things. And yes, he's having a year now where he won't win the World Championship most likely, but you can bet your bottom dollar if Red Bull create even a half decent car in 26 and beyond, he'll be right there. At the Prix, F1 TV director these days, absolute Chad business from the F1 TV director. I said it in the podcast and I'll say it again. They've stepped up their game. They've listened to us. We've said no more silly family shots, no more girlfriend shots, no more just random non-battles. We want to see the battles. We want the mini boxes used. And look, they've done it. They've listened to us. They've actually just figured out what we want to watch, which has taken a long time, a lot of years of complaining. But fair enough, the F1 TV direction is actually at a point now where I can say, I don't have much bad things to say, which is very, very good, because we've always had criticisms, and there will be small ones. Of course, the sprint when Charles Leclerc was going past Fernando Alonso, they cut away the mini box before the move was complete. But apart from that, well done. Elite Merchant, what happened to him? Wanted, last seen in Marina Bay. George Russell, yeah, a very quiet weekend from him in Brazil. A place where he's literally won before, and Mercedes seemed to be pretty good round there. But it was Kimi Antonelli's time to shine. George Russell, yeah, just every team radio we heard was him, especially in qualifying, having no idea why the car just wasn't reacting to his inputs the way he wanted. And Kimi Antonelli was fighting for the sprint win and finished in a lovely P2 in the main race. At Red Bandito 16, what George and Kimi saw in their mirrors the last laps. Yes, of course, Max. On the fresh, soft tyres, he was coming through. I am surprised to see that he didn't actually get through on Kimi Antonelli. Maybe another lap. He got quite close. Kimi got a little bit shaky on that final lap, didn't he? Holding on to P2. But yeah, Kimi did a phenomenal job. George couldn't really hold him back. He was managing the car a little bit as well. His brakes weren't performing the way he wanted. And Max Verstappen, yeah, flying through on the soft switch again. We've questioned the strategy. It wasn't like absolute clear as day which one was better, and Red Bull know a lot more than we do as Formula One fans, but you can still highlight what you think, right? F1_Ind1, my God, that was a bad weekend, and there's Ferrari on fire. Yes. Yep. What do we do next? How do I rebuild the hope once again for 2026? I question it every year. I usually return with optimism going into a new season. New regs next year. I'm sure I'll be back. At the Prix, Kimi Antonelli, will he land somewhere without the titanium dioxide ban? So the meme continues. Titanium dioxide, if it's not banned, Kimi Antonelli has phenomenal drives. It's pretty much, bar one or maybe two races this year. This meme, which by the way, I have no idea how someone has come up with this meme. This meme is almost perfect. And Antonelli, look, he does turn into Popeye. Everyone friends, Antonelli P2, not even worrying about the Max Verstappen in the pit lane. And then boom, Max in P3 fighting for second place at the end of the race. I do feel like Max's puncture, as much as it dropped him back a little bit, he was able to have a VSC pit stop, so it was a bit cheaper, put him onto a nice strategy and he could really attack from there. But none of us expected a Verstappen podium, did we really? Especially after yesterday when he got knocked out in Q1 due to a lack of pace. At Kobe Deo, Map P1 Tommy's weekend basically went like, yes, it did. Yes, it did. I mean, the fact is that I'm happy because Charles Leclerc, of course, stuck at P3 on the grid. That's, I'm having to just pick tiny bits of happiness out of reasonably good news. It's not like Charles getting pole by 3/10 and I can actually believe. No, just tiny little P3, we'll take that. Oh, that's lovely, little provisional pole, but then he gets beaten by two drivers. That's my levels right now, okay? Not very high. Some additional things before we get into controversial opinions. First and foremost, I mentioned about the drivers' parade being really cool. The fact of George's car, I think, broke down. So he had to go, and this is the Red Bull Racing tweet, had to go into Yuki and Max's car. And I mean, it's an image, it's one of the best images I think I've seen all year in F1. The fact that they're just trying to cling on to a very small car and go round into Lagos, absolutely brilliant. Okay, it's controversial opinion time, which means it's Tom Bellingham time, who has just entered the scene with this controversial opinion from Carlos Martinez. Antonelli was at fault at the restart, and Piastri ended up having the penalty.
Oh, a controversial one, particularly as I kind of agree with it.
Ooh.
And I am a big Kimi fan, as you'll probably know. Look, I don't think Kimi should have got a penalty, but I would put more blame on Kimi. Personally, the more I've looked at this incident, obviously the reason Oscar's getting the penalty is because he's not fully alongside, and they also talk about how he's not in control of his car. I think the only reason Oscar is not in control of his car and locking up is because Antonelli has left him absolutely no space, and in doing that, that is when Oscar Piastri has basically slammed the brakes on, locked up, because he's basically running out of room and wants to avoid a collision with Kimi Antonelli, but unfortunately for him, it's too late.
It's very marginal. It's a very marginal incident where I think if Piastri had been only a few inches further ahead to than where he was, he may well have got away with just a racing incident. But Antonelli, the way that he cuts in, it's not as extreme as Austin with Oscar Piastri then in turn one, but it kind of is similar in that way, right? Where a driver takes a slightly different line than they should do, and it causes a collision.
Not to insult Antonelli, but it's something we've seen with Lance Stroll quite a lot in the past, where the other driver has got the penalty, but we've also contributed a little bit of blame to Stroll where he's turned in without really looking and not giving that option. So that's why I think Kimi Antonelli does hold some blame. It was quite interesting listening to Charles Leclerc, his interview afterwards, and basically saying that he felt Oscar was blameless.
Blameless? I think he said 50-50.
50-50.
Well, that's not blameless, bro.
We'll cut that bit there.
At Last Kick W, trade offer, you receive a Max Verstappen recovery drive, but you also receive a Ferrari double DNF. Would I take that? Would I have taken that coming into the race? No. No. Why? Why would I take a Max Verstappen podium? If it was Max Verstappen P1 and the championship gets a little bit closer, a little bit more exciting, fine. I don't mind it. And I'd maybe sacrifice that potentially. But no. Charles Leclerc, Fred Vasseur, by the way, said after the race, and I do like that a lot of people joke about the fact he constantly says that there was potential for XYZ, but he said that Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, could have won the race without the crash. What are we doing here? When did that become a thing? Okay, P3 on the podium is OG Thomas Demaja. Lando Norris during the Brazilian GP sprint. So this means, of course, from the Saturday, Lando didn't drop a banana peel, but there was question marks, wasn't there, after Kimi Antonelli seeing that Lando had hit a little bit of spray into the air and onto the racing line. It wasn't actually Lando's fault at all, it was the curb's fault. But it's a very good meme, so it's getting included. P2, Smithy Boy 3000, Verstappen after qualifying. I mean, this video is an absolute gem in the F1 world. 16th! And there's the screenshot to prove it, Max. Even has got a little Verstappen Photoshop there. So John Smith, well done. You get P2. And the other thing I wanted to include, which is from an account called Dutch Max Flying, was just a picture of the insane crash of Gabi Bortoleto, and the fact that he can walk away from something like that in 2025 Formula One is something that, safety should just be absolutely praised and lauded for being at such a high level these days, that he can walk away from that. The team could rebuild the car, and Gabi was fine to race the next day, or even in qualifying. He was passed to qualify only a few hours later. So thank you, F1 safety. The winner of the best reactions to the Brazilian Grand Prix goes to Path_Dargy_PD. And it is a great meme. It includes myself and Tommy. They were sad, but there were two people more sad than them. Oh dear. I mean, Tommy was very sad indeed when Max was knocked out in Q1. Less sad today, for sure. Whereas I kind of get used to the sadness, so it doesn't really hit me as hard. Although when Ferrari will start to challenge again, that's when the pain really hits. Right, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the best reactions to the Brazilian Grand Prix. Sorry it's a little bit different, just in a random kitchen and all that good stuff. But I hope you enjoyed it all the same. Of course, we have a week off, and then we go into the triple header to end the Formula One season. #P1 if you want to get involved next time. If you finish first, you will get some P1 merch, and we'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye!